Hello, y'all. How's it going? How is it going? It's Tuesday night currently, where we are in the present. Not for those watching the VOD later, of course, you know. But, yeah, Tuesday night, I decided to do a little bit of a making stream today, in addition to the normal schedule. Basically, my thought was that, Thursday's stream is gonna start pretty late, because, you know, the Thursday stream is gonna be Tears of the Kingdom, and that unlocks at 11 p.m. Central. So, you know, it'll be a later stream and maybe not quite long. I'm not sure how long. Probably like 3 hours. I would guess. I don't know. I'm willing to go late for Tears of the Kingdom. Late night, even on a Thursday. I don't know. We'll see. But point is, I figured that it'd be a good idea to throw in an extra stream here and do some making because, well, one, I wanted to, and two, it's been a while since we did like a making stream, and also it's been a while since I made like real progress with this level. Lord Bowser says he played the MK Wii today, Mario Kart Wii. That's nice. Been thinking about playing like some of the older. Honestly, I've been thinking about like going back and looking at Smash Brothers Brawl because I got a bunch of custom stages in that I never like made like Smash Ultimate versions of because Smash Ultimate stages are a lot more detailed. You know, you have to do a lot more decoration for them to look good. Whereas like you could just like slap shapes together willy-nilly in that one, and you know, it's faster to make stages in that one. I thought it would be interesting to look at those stages also. Anyway, let's whoa, okay. One second. I can fix this. You're probably hearing a echo. I forgot to mute the soundbar. Usually I mute the soundbar before the stream, but now that I have the ability to like switch back and forth between the computer and the you know, whatever the capture card's picking up independently, I started on the PC and then I used the remote here to switch over to the game. Well, that wasn't quite as subtle as I'd hoped because the volume was on, turned out. I kind of put together this stream really quickly. Earlier today I went for a nice big old walk, you know, with like 3 miles or so, and had a nice, luxurious, like relaxing soak in like, you know, the tub or whatever, before just getting up and going like, okay, let's go ahead and start the stream. Let's do some making. Let's be productive here. So let's talk about, so, you know, obviously, like, I'll say one thing, which is what I just said, which is that Tears of the Kingdom is gonna be next Thursday, this Thursday. I guess it's this Thursday. I should probably have said this Thursday. Whatever. Same difference. This Thursday, like 2 days from now, the stream is gonna be Tears of the Kingdom. And that's gonna be pretty cool. It's gonna be starting at 11 p.m. Central Time. And we're gonna go for like a couple of hours, just like getting into that, seeing whatever the tutorial area is, maybe even getting out in the world and like seeing some things or whatever. Now, I'm gonna say that not all that series is gonna be on stream. Not all that game is gonna be on stream. I'm gonna play it off stream, but I thought it'd be cool to do the first couple of hours of that game live. And, you know, make it a whole thing. Especially because, you know, I do streams on Thursday and it comes out on Thursday. It makes sense to do it that way, you know? It makes sense. So that'll happen. That'll happen. A lot of people playing a lot of stages, huh? That happens. I don't play for a bit, I suppose. That's kind of all I want to say as far as, like, pre-stuff. Preamble, as I call it in the YouTube VODs when I'm, like, time-stamping it. That's kind of it. Let's just focus here as we do on, you know, the stage, the work at hand, and go through it. And I'll say, like, you know what, let me get up the maker thing in the corner down there so you can see my maker code if you're curious. I'll say I have no plans right now to open the queue and do a viewer level or two. I kind of like these maker streams just to be like pure making. I think that that's a little more interesting. Anyway, let me just talk about the level and like go through some of the inspirations that I want to draw upon, and then we'll do some making. And when I say play the level, I mean I'll play the prototype, what I have now, which is just ideas that are thrown together. Here's the basic two things I want this level to have. It needs to have Link, and it needs to have the sun. Okay, that's the basic of the thing. In order for the sun to be like dangerous, you have to have platforms around like 3 in height. 3 in height. Any higher, and it's not really dangerous. Oh, that's a new thing, by the way. Any higher, let's see, this is 4 in height. 4 in height, not a threat. Right? That's 4, right? Yeah, that's 4. 3 in height, that's the magic number. Maybe 2. Actually, I think 2 as well is also a magic number. Let me see. If I have a platform there, is the sun dangerous down here? Yes, so for the sun to be dangerous, you have to have a lot of platforms at 1 or 2. Now, I will say, obviously, I'm using some theming that is 3 minimum, so, you know, that's gonna be a little hard to, like, make lower. Unless I were to do something like, oh, hey, here's a bridge. Now, there could easily be some bridges here, and that would allow you to have some stuff that was lower than 3. I guess that could work. Or like moving platforms, something of the sort. So that's the basic like starting point. These are the things I know I want to get in the level. Want to make it a Link level. Want to make these moving platforms work. Now let's walk through it and see some of the other stuff I got going. Like these scary fuckers right here. We got these pretty scary fuckers, sort of like bouncing along. A stack of chain chomps with a big old head. I think that's really fun. I also playing around with those red Mecha Koopas. The red Mecha Koopas I think are pretty fun, and they you know, they're fun to fight with Link because you can either, like with the Chain Chomp guy, you can totally just jump and stab, and that feels pretty good. If you don't have it, if you like lose your Link, I'll say like these Chain Chomp guys are really hard to deal with if you lose your Link, for what it's worth. So, you know, maybe I'll have to do some more careful design to like make that doable. Maybe some springs or something? The only problem with springs is that they're manipulatable with they're manipulatable with the sword, so I don't want to have them just out and about or anything. You know, not so freely. You know? Also, they get in the way. We should probably think of a way for regular Mario to get over those guys. But it feels pretty good to be stabbing into their face like that. At least in my experience. I think that enemy stacks are a little bit underused. If I'm thinking about it. I like the idea of these bullet bills, they're not quite correctly placed. One thing you might notice about the level right now in this early form is that I have it set so it's so that you don't scroll sideways. You don't. That's not it. You don't scroll up and down. It's strictly speaking, one screen height, and that will allow us to have some platforms that are lower than because otherwise, you know, let's say this case right here. I'm just gonna put a thing here just to show what would happen without that that precaution. Naked Pipe, it's a brainstorming level, also called a BS level, which is to say it's all bullshit right now. You see here, you can't see the ground if there's if the cameras are allowed to scroll upward, which on one level is thrilling, but on the other level, I don't know. It's not what I'm looking for, I think. I think that I want you to know with 100% certainty that you can drop down there, even if you end up being wound up. I also think, like, oh, you know, there's opportunity to, like, there's opportunity here if, say, you were to be, like, routed like this. Let's just say you're routed like this. I'll fix that naked pipe, okay. There you go. That's not much better, but whatever. I'll say this is a prototype. This is all just messing around. This is throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what sticks, seeing what feels good. With the scroll lock thing, one idea that I had was that I wanted to see what it feels like to have like enemies at the top of the screen where when you jump over them, you can't see like where you're going to end up. There could also be cases where, like, you know what there could also be cases of? There could also be cases where, like, you're literally platforming above the screen like this. Know what I mean? Like, what if you had to, like, ascend over the screen? Ooh. Let's see, can we do, like, some sort of... And then maybe you have some sort of threat, like, right here. If there's, like, a spike ball right there, is that going to be, I'm curious, I don't know. Is that gonna break the scroll lock? Yes. Yes, it is. Move it down one, then. But if you then had to, like, jump. Oof. Okay, that's poorly timed. Let's try that again with, like, a different spike ball position. How about something with wings, so it's faster? We'll put, like, a... What should it be? Fireball. Try this out on for size. With this scroll lock, I'll say I haven't done a level with this sort of scroll lock before. So I'm curious how it feels. I'm curious, like, what we can do with it to make things, like, feel good. Well, I guess that's... I did do a level where there's scroll lock in the middle, and there's an upper half and a lower half. But I didn't do a level like this where the scroll lock is just that there's nothing up top. So there's no scrolling, but you can jump over the top, and you can fall off the bottom. You know? I haven't done that sort of scroll lock. Anyway, all that to say, that's like the outside area. Let's go inside. Oh wait, I have to get to the fucking pipe first, don't I? Because of the way I set this up. Oh well. One of the things that's a little... Okay, you know what? We'll start right here. One of the things that's a bit troublesome... What am I saying? So here in the second half, the idea will be to have a little bit of a platform a platform level sequence where you're bouncing off a moving platform, moving across lava. I've tried out some things. One thing that does bug me with this is that so far it looks like it kind of has to be a big single platform experience. Because if you go too far from the platform, it's going to despawn, which is not ideal, you know, for it to despawn. And, jeez. That's, not possible. Well, maybe it is possible, maybe with Link, but... So, basically, if you were to have, like... Let's try this again one more time. Basically, if you were to get that far... and you were to deboard and do some stuff and hit an on-off... if you went too far, it would be... You wouldn't be able to get back on it because it would have ceased to exist at some point. Also, I am considering, like, what if the stuff outside, you know, with the low limit, right? Is it cool or not cool? See, that's what I mean. See that? We doubled back and the platformer has already despawned. Actually, that's kind of terrible if you can literally, like, go back and see it, like, half-formed. No, it should be more like, I feel like, what if... What if it, like, disappeared before your eyes? I wonder if that'd be cool. You know what I mean? Like, if it just suddenly started falling into the thing. Would you be able to figure it out in time, or would you just fall to your death if it started, like, disappearing like that? Or maybe it could be... Could it fall into the lava somehow? Like, be pushed onto a... So in that case, it just goes under and never to be seen again. But also, you could jump down here, which is weird. Weird that you can jump down here. Could it be something like it's all pushed onto a platform, and when you jump off the next platform, it's not a red platform like so, because, you know, it's not like you can go back anyway. But instead, once you jump off, the red blocks, they disappear, and it's pushed off into the void. Also, you'll notice that these use, you'll notice that these use, okay, that, I'm pretty sure you should make a lava raft level. Yeah, that's one of my goals here. Yeah, so it stopped right here before any of the things, so... Wait, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't... It would still, like, fall off once the brakes were released. So, like, if there was something like this... Let's say it's like this, right? Then if there was a... on-off switch with, like, a power up here. A thwomp, I mean. Okay, it looks like you're not gonna bop your head on that. Here's a thought. What if these, what if it's a low ceiling? What if it's the same? I'm not sure if I mind the camera going up in this one, in this half level, honestly. But I think it's interesting to consider, like, what if? You know, what if it's the same in this level where the camera is fixed. You know, what if it's like that? Would that be cool? And I think the answer is it might be. Might be cool, same as in the top half. So let's just throw down some of these, and you know, just make some, just remove anything from the top half and see how that feels. There we go. Now, the thing about, like, having a disboard section where you, like, disboard the raft and, like, do some stuff and get back on the raft, so I need to figure out a way to, like, make that work. You know, basically, if there's another raft, you know, I need to make sure that you can get on that, and once you do, the raft starts up again. You know? That's slow and buggy. Okay, make it shorter. It's because there's not much room for it to like cascade off. You know what? Just doesn't have to be that thing. Just make this a semi-solid platform, maybe, and maybe that'll work. I'm gonna make a copy of this like further on so we can like we don't have to go through the whole level. I will say that this raft does involve a lot of elements, so it's possible that you know, adding too many of them would you know, very quickly it really does like break and like stop and start weirdly. Is there anything that can be done about that? What if it's the same speed? Maybe the problem is that it's like a fast ramp. You know, maybe the change in acceleration is like significant. That's pretty good. Just make this a little shorter. And add like a... And then add like maybe something that you jump off of. Yeah, like something you jump off of, like that's semi-static. You know, maybe like basically held in place, so that you, in fact, maybe we don't need this complicated system at all. Instead, just have it so that the player has to like bop along like a series of guys to get you know, to get there. Maybe they could even be bombs so that they'll explode in your wake. That guy's gonna explode if he's there, right? Yeah. Make it a small bomb. And make it like 3 small bombs. How does that sound? 1, 2, 3. And we can even make this a little farther out. Honestly, we might not even need the mechanism if like every time, and I say every time, it's probably going to be like twice. If when you disboard the thing, it's putting distance between you and it such that you cannot return, you know, without dying. This like 2 shorter, and let's see how it feels. Okay, that's not bad. The only thing is, because these guys are spawning like you know, sequentially, maybe that's not the best term. These guys are spawning based on the scrolling of the horizontal. It becomes very variable, like where they are, just based on like how fast you're moving. You know what I mean? So instead, we need to use a bomb here as well. Also, we need to test with our link. Having these guys over lava is nice because they explode, but also you can like, you know, accidentally explode them without thinking about it too much if you're not careful. So why don't we go with an enemy that doesn't, you know, explode when shot with an arrow? Let's see. We could go with dry bones. No, dry bones, they won't collapse in your wake. At least the big ones won't. Okay. Jumpable, and also you can jump on them, but they're arrow proof. What is that? A buzzy beetle? Can you shoot a buzzy beetle with an arrow? You can't, like, let me try this. Let me actually shoot it with an arrow. Okay, so that won't work, but there is another thing you can do as Link, which honestly might be well, there's an easy solution to this. Just raise the first one off the ground a little bit. And now you can't do that. Alright. I think the bomb isn't right. I don't like Buzzy Beetle either. What should it be? What enemy works with this setup? I think a Mecha Koopa would work, right? Mecha Koopas, they're fireproof. They should also be arrow-proof, right? It's not bad. And yeah, for as far as bows and arrows go, just completely immune. Does anything else have these properties that we need? I don't think they're immune to bombs. But it's actually hard to test. Which is good, because, hey, that means it'd be hard to fuck things up, to fuck yourself over in that way, you know? Which is a good thing. Oh, well... It is possible to, like... Because these guys aren't dying when you're landing on them, they will respawn once they leave the screen. Huh. So what do you do about that? What can you do about that? We need something that like, actually dies. What? Boom. Can Boom Boom be shot with arrow? Yes. Yes. It just takes a lot of them. The treadmill means that, well, let me just test and see. Because it's dead, I believe, it's not gonna come back to life. If we were to, like, do this, right? Yes, it's just dead. So that's the disadvantage of using the Mecha Koopas, is they're gonna come back to life. Wigglers? Wigglers don't die when you land on them, so they're out for that reason. I think Buzzy Beetle might be the only thing that meets all our criterias, actually. My only issue is I don't know that this will be very intuitive. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's fine. There's a lot of levels where you jump on a Buzzy Beetle and then you do a thing with the shell. I don't know, it's going to be super intuitive insofar as, like, yeah, you know, if they had wings, you would expect to be able to land on them. You know, and, like, in fact, if you put wings on it, are you able to land on them? I think you might be, even if they're on a thing, yeah. So you might not be sure if you can land on them or not. let's just do another inventory. What about small dry bones? What about small dry bones? Because you can jump on those. Oh, they might not be permanently dead. So they might respawn. Yeah, they're not permanently dead falling into lava, so they respawn. I think that our best bet for, like, immunity to arrows and also not respawning is the Buzzy Beetle. I don't love the way it looks, is the problem. Don't love the way it looks. Not a big fan of the way it feels. I guess there'd be one other option in like a snow course. If we had snow, we could use snowballs, and those would work great. Problem is we're in lava. There's lava around, so that's not gonna be it. No. Actually, you can probably shoot an arrow at a snowball, so that wouldn't work anyway. Okay. Maybe it's fine that these guys despawn, because by the time, if you were to, like, try this, right? If you were to try to, like, reverse course and go back, you would find nothing there, because the platform would be gone. And that would be fine. No, well, in this case, you'll find it, because it's, there from the jump. The other thing I'm wondering is, okay, let's say that you have a platform here. I'm wondering if we can set up, like, a delayed platform situation. Where, like, let's say that there's a platform here, and, you do a thing and then it starts moving. I want to know if I can set up a second platform like this. During a rest thing. I'm going to do like this, and then put one brick here. And my question is, if you're just, like, running to the right, will that spawn naturally, or will it do weird things? Okay, it looks like it kind of spawned naturally. The only thing I'll note is that you're going to have to, like... Wait. Did it always have 4? Oh yeah, it's supposed to have 4. Really? 4? Yeah, I guess 4 springs. That's all there is. Huh. Would have guessed 5 just, like, off the cuff. It looks like this does spawn right, so, you know, once you hit, like, a on-off, or an on-off is hit, whatever the case may be, should start moving. Let me see again. Okay. The last part didn't go. Add like a little literal barrier here and make it like this. That ought to do it. Alright, and it's not really that separated either. It didn't like space out or something in the process. Okay, so we have a way by which we can get a second platform after a little on-foot sequence in the second half. That is good. We'll aim to have one interim here, one on-foot section in the middle of this level. A Bullet Bill would be an enemy that you... Okay, I guess there's one more option for here, which would be, instead of doing like this, instead have it be a bunch of Bullet Bills, like coming out of the lava. It would require you to, like, think on your feet, though. You miss this opportunity, you're gonna be kicking yourself. Because they're not gonna come back, and... Actually, let me just, like, back this up a little bit. And see how... naturally it feels. Naturally it feels? Feel how natural it feels, just like playing it normal. Yeah, we can't slow this guy down enough for it to be natural, actually. Unfortunately. No, that's not gonna... It's not gonna work. That guy's already far, far away by the time you get the caught up with them. I suppose the only thing you could do is, like, change the speed of the conveyors to, like, catch up, but I'm pretty sure that would cause some weird behavior. Maybe space out the stuff. Yeah, it's gonna space out the stuff. Which, yeah, it's not gonna fly. Nice try, but it's not gonna work. And bullet bills going the other way would have a similar problem, but only, you know, it'd have a similar problem. I mean, you could do something like this, where you just have like a bunch of, where you have some guys going this way. Thing is, you might not notice and realize you have to like keep going forward. With these guys, I think you will. We'll put some. I'd put some coins here. Sort of encourage you to like bounce on each one. It could literally be blues. Let's try to use like multiple colors of them. We've had like one case earlier. We were messing around with the red ones. Put some blues here. And in fact, actually, it doesn't need to be two blues. They can just be like one blue and green. It's a little bit of variety there. You know, mixing up the different colors a little bit. That's nice. Good idea. One question I have is that can you set up a that horrible chain chomp monster? Can you set that up to board the platform? To board the moving platform. So we make that by taking 3 chain chomps and adding a head. 3 chain chomps and adding a head. Let's move this over here. Let's get rid of this. And we'll have it so that it is bouncing off like a, let's say a spring that is falling off screen, such that when it spawns, it'll bounce off that, and hopefully be coming close enough to your vicinity that it'll be dangerous. You'll have to like respawn with Blink, or jump over it really good. Another thing to note is this level, at least the first part especially. God. The first part especially needs to be like built around the timing of the fire of the sun, right? Because it's all automatic. So we know like how long everything's gonna take. Therefore, we can easily say like, okay, right here is when the first time it passes over. So we need to build it such that, you know, stuff is happening right up to that point, so that it's not making the jump. It needs to be like some stuff's going on here, such that the sun. Also, I suppose it's gonna vary based on like where you are on the platform when that guy spawns in. So if we were like riding it at the farthest extent to the left, I bet he's gonna make the platform if we're right here. Well, I knew he was coming, so I was able to deal with him, but I suppose one thing you could do is have like a platform, just like a platform that you pass on the way. Doesn't even have to be like a platform like this. In the first half, we deal with a lot of moving platforms. Could even be a moving platform such as this. Or a platform that falls even. You know, if we want to like make some platforms that you can be on for like a second. No, not even. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. The only problem is it's actually pretty awkward to have this platform, like, be hanging around after. So yeah, let's make it a falling platform. Like a series of falling platforms, even. Will that work? Let me just... work? Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, let's go with some blue platforms. The only thing I pause with that is that the last level that we did, Ne'er-Do Nebula also involved blue platforms, as did one of the previous ones, some of the ones before that. But it's not a terribly big deal, I'd think. You want this to be between sun cycles, so that you're still, like, under threat. So that you're, like, landed at the time when the sun passes by. That's pretty good. I think there's really no beating that as a design. Well, I say that, maybe that's a little bit of hyperbole. I think that's a good design, it feels good, and also, you know, even if the blues platforms are a little bit overused, they're just really dependable, and they make for... They allow for you to have some scaffolding to control the enemies that need to appear and board the platform, while also not being, you know, making for platforms that replace the platform. You know, you can only stand on them briefly. You know what I haven't used that much? I haven't used ones with wings. Let's put wings on them. Put wings on them, and that'll change them like a little bit. It'll make them fall slower and also make them look like the littlest bit different. And I think it'll also make them bob up and down. I think by default, the level will give players a spike helmet, in addition to what else they get. Also, by the way, like the winged platform thing helps in the earlier part where, like, say, you know, you don't have Link Suit. Say you lost it by this point. There could easily be a winged thing right here. Now, one thing I will say about this current level is I have it set up where, you know, you're sort of like going down a couple levels during this bit here. And I had this set up because I thought it actually felt kind of good. You know, obviously with a level based on What? I did not know that guy could kill the sun simply by running into him. Huh. Gonna take a clip real fast. Was that just... Did I have to kick him? I did have to kick him, didn't I?
Let's go.
Yeah, that just kills. That just kills the sun. Oh, that's really weird if you can just kill the sun like that, huh? But I really like those guys though. So yeah, maybe they'll all be like maybe the key is to have them not like this, but instead the way that I have them later, just like out over the void. You're still gonna be able to like stab and kick them, aren't you? Yeah, it's still... You can still hit them like that. It could be stuff like, it could be just they're over pits. They could be placed over pits. And always be just like, you know, placed like this where you can't quite so easily stab them and make them into projectiles. But you could jump on top of them. Perhaps. Shit. I'm gonna put this guy here for now because I like him here. You know, I like him there, but that is a little bit of an incompatibility with the sun. Maybe just like, yeah, put the sun after the guy appears. The sun can appear. The sun doesn't have to appear like in the first 10 seconds of the level. You know, maybe this guy could be in the first 10 seconds of the level like that. You know, early on. Like shortly after you get the sword. You know, maybe like after some chain chomp guys run by you or something. I like the bullet bills as well. Let me see. Have I tried the bullet bills in like the actual underground area? Let me do that actually. Let's put like, we were discussing like, you know, the part before needs to have something. Here's something. Just like a handful of bullet bills. Okay, here we go.
Let's go.
Let me try that again.
Let's go.
Something like this, maybe. Let's again. Pull that back by 1. Pull this whole thing back by 1. Actually, by 2. And yeah, okay. Make this guy a little or later.
Let's go.
Pull that guy back by 1. Okay.
Let's go.
Well, that guy just spawns like a lot later because of how the screen stuff works.
Let's go.
Okay, we need to find a nice middle ground between immediately spawning and like spawning really, really late.
Let's go.
So this guy is gonna be late. Okay, I don't mind the lateness, but make him lower then, so that you have the option of like going over him if you like.
Let's go.
Do you have the option to go over him there? Kinda seems like you don't. Okay. Again.
Go.
That guy's too slow. Again.
Go.
Actually, I like this guy being high, and I like him being so high that there's kind of no alternative. You know, maybe you could like bounce under him if you were feeling feisty. What if there was just like this? What if it was just like 3 of them? All high, all in a row. I kind of like these bullet bills. That's actually pretty good. So like, that's like not bad as like a first segment of the level, or a first segment of the second half. Just a bunch of fucking bullet bills. Holy shit. Well, I don't want players to go through the gap like that. That's pretty decent. I like that. I like that. We're about an hour in. Didn't intend this to be a super long stream, but I do want to try out some more things. In particular, I have been thinking about, like, you know, in particular, I really like the idea of these, like, these chain chomp stacks here. I like these chain chomp stacks a good deal. So I was wondering if there were other stacks I could possibly do that would be fun to deal with as Link. One possible example of that, I'm just going to extend the stage out a little bit. Let me get rid of these guys right here. Now. And I'm gonna put, like, one more, like, really low and make it so that you... Actually, let me try this real fast. That's pretty cool. I like that. That's fun. That's good. Okay. One more enemy I was thinking about was, would be, like, a tower of Magic Koopas. So, like a Magic Koopa tower. Maybe also topped with like a big guy. These guys are gonna teleport around, right? Wait, do they not teleport if they're just a single? Do they not teleport if they're just a single? Do they just stay in place? If there's a tower of Magic Koopas, do they just stay in place? Can they only teleport when they're a oneer? Wow, that's actually pretty handy. That's pretty good to know that they don't... Fuck, I wish I knew that earlier. I probably would have used the Tower of Magic Koopas at some point. Let me, stab at the base. One thing to know if like, they do get freed of the tower, like, if you take out their base members, they will, like, immediately teleport away. What if it's just 2 big uns? Do they fall like that? Yeah, they can even, like, fall. I know that's a weird thing to say. Oh, they can even fall, but look, if they're just a oneer, they don't fall, they just disappear when placed in midair. So falling is unique behavior to a stack of them. Could have some stacks of those in like the back half or something. That'd be cool. The only thing that's weird is that if you, like, mid-killing them, they do, like, They do start to teleport and shit. So my question is, can I put like an invincible thing at their base? That's a question I have. Though, honestly, I prefer not to. You know what I mean? And also, if you hit the thing in the middle, yeah, they're not freed from it by, one in the middle being killed. Having an invincible bottom does make it so a little more reliable, but I don't know, man. I kind of like... The tower looks kind of cool. It's just the purity of it, you know? Like with the Chain Chomp tower, the Chain Chomp stack, it's just being a bunch of these fuckers on their own has like a simplicity to it. There could also be some shenanigans where you have to like kill the top guy to get a key or something. Possible. Any other stacks that we can do? Well, there's always like a boo stack or something. There could easily be stuff where you like have to jump over boos. In fact, earlier we had this bit here that you could easily have like a stack of boos up here. That would work as such. Where you have to like judge where they are as you're going above them. I think one boo works just as well as many boos here. In fact, it's a little more aesthetically pleasing to have one solitary boo. Well, maybe that's the case because this is at the top of the screen. Maybe it would look nicer with multiple boos if it was like lower, you know. I feel like it would be appropriate for them to ride a, or like one of them on top of a tower of dry bones. That would be thematically appropriate. What else could we do? Let's come up with like 2 more towers or something. A spiny tower is basically just a pokey, but worse, not as good. Spike tower. Already did some spike towers in one of the earlier levels. So that's I don't know. I don't think that's gonna be the thing. I have done Mecha Koopa towers in like in Frosted Forest in like 2-3. And I think also 2-5. I forget. It's been a while. I mean I've checked recently. I've looked at it recently, but I can't remember for sure 1000%, you know? Blooper towers. What if they all have the construction of, like, a big guy at the top and 3 in the middle? Oh, that's not... Yeah, I don't know about that. That actually feels quite awkward. Because, like, a lot of the segments are above the point where you can attack them. I mean, you could just use, like, a bow and arrow. But it's a little awkward with these ones. They don't just, like, collapse when you hit the middle. They instead split up, which... Yeah, that's undesirable. What else could we stack? We also need to keep in mind that we don't want something that can kill the sun by mistake. You know, something that can kill the sun by mistake, that is not great for our design. I bet you Buzzy Beetles, they're gonna be like the Shelmet, right? They're gonna end up being able to kill the sun. I don't think we're gonna want that. Oh, Spike Tops.
Let's go.
Maybe just regular Spike Tops just as a thing. Spike Tops are maybe one of the least used enemies in the Super World, honestly. And it'd be pretty easy to, like, have them in this level that doesn't have a lot of solid surfaces. And just have them going back and forth, right? You know, and you can kill them with Link. And only with the sword, though, so that means that you're going to have to, like, put yourself in risk, put yourself in danger in order to deal with them. I think that sounds pretty good. You know, if some of these other enemies are ones where you have to jump and deal with them, these will be enemies where you don't jump and deal with them. You know, sort of slightly different in, you know, how you will approach them. Could even put some, like, up here or something. Like, instead of a thing, this guy could be, like, one of these, but on clouds. Maybe that's a bad idea. Yeah, that doesn't look like a good idea. Yeah, that's not a great idea. I mean, it's not terrible, but does adding the ability to defeat that boo make it better? I don't think it does. Just have a boo stack, like, of giant boos here. How about that?
Let's go.
That's good. I like that. I like that a lot, actually. The Magic Koopa
Let's go.
hit me with a magic there. A lot of the times you get like through it fast enough where it's not able to get out for one spell. But on the occasion where it is fast enough to get up the spell, it kind of sucks because you're like so close to it at that point where it can kill you, which is kind of not ideal. Also not ideal is these boos might be weird, might do weird stuff if you're not careful. If you like face in the wrong direction, they're gonna make it really tricky and really weird. This doesn't have to be a magic Koopa. It could easily be like one of these.
Let's go.
Or it could even be like more of the chain chomp. The bouncing chain chomps. Pull it back one though.
Let's go.
I like this boo stack. They're kind of fun to jump around. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'd like a flying platform like here, just to make it so that if you end up like if you don't have Link, you have an option here of being like, oh, you know, just jumping over like that. That is kind of frightening though, since this guy's gonna turn around at the edge. Okay, that is kind of weird, actually, for regular Mario. I like it before. Let's just go with dry bones. One thing that's like y'all might not know is that if you raise an enemy into the air, oftentimes their behavior is slowed by a bit. Like, I'll just say as an example, look at these two, right? One of them's not in the air, one of them is in the air. And you'll see that the one on the side, it's kind of subtle. The one on the left starts moving immediately to the left. The one on the right only starts moving once it hits the ground. I wonder if that also affects the, when they cast their spells. Doesn't look like it does. In fact, in this case, the one on the right is shooting off first. So that's not, you know, we can't do any funky business with that to, you know, further delay or further accelerate. Delay or accelerate or affect the spell firing speed. There's no like one trick to make it work. I think maybe we could just have like one of those, you know, and it's kind of fun to see them and have them as like a challenge. And maybe even when you're going through the platform level side of it, there could even be like a bunch of them, you know, there could even be like towers that are more like, instead of just having a tower of those, in the underside having a tower of like just full ones, and they'll cast some spells at you, and you'll have to jump over them while you approach them slowly, and maybe, or maybe there could be like an on-off that you shoot, and that'll kill them by like, you know, can you kill them by like, let's see, by making a thing appear where they are. It's possible they might teleport out when you do this. I'm not sure. Let's find out. You know what? I'll put this, like, over here. I put it a little too far out. Yeah, you need to... Okay. Nope, they teleported. They teleported when they got instead of dying. But it could still have something like a big bomb or something that's exploded when that happens. I think that would do it. Big bomb would do the trick, right here. Big bomb. Okay, just go ahead and put that there. And this should be... Okay. Oh, God. I forgot to trap that bomb. That bomb's not trapped. One-way panels. That's what I need. I need a one-way panel going this way. I need a one-way panel going this way. It looks kind of awkward, but whatever. It's fine. That kills him. It's a little big, this setup, actually, so I don't know, like, how it's gonna work in the second half, how it's gonna fit. But, yeah, something like this is possible. And I guess you could also, like, in theory, like, fight them as well, like that. There's supposed to be 3, but one of them was occluded, was blocked from spawning. Occluded? I don't know.
Let's go.
There. That's a possibility. Any other things that would be fun to fight as Link? Synergize with the stage stuff as well. I think I recently used hopping wigglers, right? They wouldn't be bad to fight as Link. You know, they sort of jump. They're sort of floaty. They sort of jump. They definitely jump. They're sort of floaty, but they can be stabbed. They can't be shot with arrows. Let me check. Oh yeah, they were in Koopaverse 3. Winged wigglers. What was the previous time I used wigglers in the Super World? I don't think wigglers have come up all that often. Maybe it was this one, Coastal Cup 2. That is to say, 5-2, Palm Tree Pre. Should use wigglers at some point in this world. You know, like grounded ones without wings, just regular ass wigglers. But not here. I don't think for here. I tried Cheep Cheeps in the underground. I don't think I liked it. So I think... Honestly, I think right now we got a pretty good, like, starting point. We got a pretty good, like, thing to work off here. And already we got some parts that... Whoops. That are, like, approaching good enough. I'll say, like, you know what? I'll say I haven't really thought that much about... I haven't really thought much about how the spike helmet will come into play. Like, I do plan on giving the player a spike helmet. Ooh, that's kind of... As not Link, this is not Link. As not Link, this part is a little bit impossible. Like, you can't get enough height to jump high enough to hit this guy now, can you? Well, if it's a shorter stack. And it's not like you can, you know, these guys, they're immune to being jumped on, so it's not like you can jump off them or something.
Let's go.
Unless, you know, just do something like this. Like a shell guy in their wake. In their wake, in front of them. Then you could have like that. I don't like that. You do this then. Platform under? No, that wouldn't work because... Could be something like a platform under, like maybe this is like a platform that has holes in it, and there could be like a moving platform that goes under. Something like this.
Let's go.
Something like this. Then you could do like that. Oh, I guess if you don't have Link, that part with the on-off block is like particularly impossible, huh? I guess this could be like right after a Link. Right after it gives you a Link. That would make it pretty fair. I think we've made some good progress here. I'm feeling pretty gung-ho about locking the screen's like vertical scrolling by not having anything above, and I think it might be a good idea for both parts of the level. This semi-solid sucks. We need to get rid of it, even if it's bad for regular Mario. At this point in the level, you should have the thing, and you know we'll set. If we do something that's like this in the final level, you'll have the thing when it happens. I think. I think we've made some pretty good progress in figuring out like what some of the elements of this level are going to be, how they're going to be set up. We even have some areas that might be able to just get into the level just as is. Like this bit is pretty good. It's kind of fun to like jump and stab the bullets, and then you know just when the bullets are finished, the sun passes by. That's great. As is, I think, this part where there's another thing that comes at you. And the second sun pass is actually pretty well timed as well for that. We just need to design this around like you being still on the ground at that point, and we'll have something good. Anyway, this is coming along. I'll say again, I didn't say up top like what some of my inspiration was when I'm pulling from for this level. Pulling from Hothead Bop from DKC2. How about to end? What if I just pull that up real fast and like play through it and see if we can like glean anything that would be useful. Let me make sure I've saved so we don't lose anything. I've actually like closed the game without saving a couple times recently, losing like a modicum of progress each time. I'm not gonna switch games. I'm just gonna play that level and I'm gonna talk about it. DKC 2. Specifically, the level I'm looking to pull inspiration from is the first lava level, which is a level that has like it's not a moving platform level, but it has like bouncy platforms. That's sort of what I'm thinking of as like the primary influence on the non-platform level side, or you know, like most of the level. And sort of working in a moving platform, sort of akin to like DKC2's one platform level. So in this one you have the croc heads, and you can see that some of them aren't bouncy ones and some of them are. So maybe we should consider like having a mix of like ones that are bouncy and ones that are not. Ours will be at various elevations, but you can see that all these are like basically one elevation, and it works, which is good because our moving platform will be at that one elevation, and the fact that it works is a good thing, you know, because that's also the one elevation where the sun hits. So really we should be thinking about this level and seeing like how does it make it interesting to land on the same elevation repeatedly, you know, even with like not that much going on. And the answer is like, you know, multiple things. Obviously it's an early level, so it's not super hard. But I'm just gonna restart it. No, I'm gonna start from the checkpoint if I do this, don't I? I just like rewind to the start of the level, or like before I hit the checkpoint. Maybe. Let's discuss. Let's actually like break it down. The first one, you just jump on it, and it's pretty simple. It says like, hey, jump on it, jump off it. Pretty simple. The second one, it's a little different because the second time you jump off it, it's a little different because assuming you don't fall for the Klobber, assuming you know that it's Klobber, you're jumping from the Klobber onto it. So, you know, it's a little different as the situation goes. Third case, you get a Klobber as a thing if you end up like doing that. Fourth case, you end up jumping it from it above. When did the jumping get introduced? Oh, here, at the second time. The second time... Wait, is that the second time or the... At the end of the second time, the third one is actually a jumper. You and lets you jump on top of the thing. Then they're all pretty much jumpers from here on out. And you're jumping on the jumpers from high up, from various elevations. And even though the jumpers are at one elevation, you are jumping to platforms of varying height, you know, that are onto, you know, enemies that are directly below you. So you're jumping directly from the springs into enemies in cases like this. You know, from the spring into enemies. Picking up an enemy, jumping onto springs, etc. In the second half here, in this level, you get Squitter, which, you know, changes the way you navigate a bit, and also lets you kill things. So now, when there's like, stingers above the path, you can shoot them down. You know, and you don't have to really, like, deal with them. Which is just a way of making the player feel powerful. You know, it's not hard, right? And it's only World 2 in this game, so it shouldn't be hard. But it is rewarding, which is also important in level design. Of course, our level is later in the super world, so we need to focus more on, like bombarding the player with challenges while they are mostly jumping off platforms or a single platform of like a single height. Now, I'm gonna play one more level, which is to say the platform level in DKC2, which is perhaps maybe should be considered the other motivation, no, the other influence for this level that I'm making in Mario Maker 2. That's why the game is Mario Maker 2 right now on Twitch. Didn't feel like changing it. Don't worry, we'll go back to Mario Maker in a minute. So this one has its first half be a bunch of Klobber stuff, wherein you know, there's just various denominations of Klobber, and they're just running at you. And, you know, then you get some rotational barrels where you've seen these early in the game. You should know what's up with them. Where you can rotate them and hit the button to power up to, like, fire off. And it's just a bunch of little sequences. Nothing too complex. Also, you can lose lives if you're not careful here. This is, you know, a Lost World level, which is actually kind of also the inspiration behind the level that I'm working on, because it is the first level of the last world of my super world, bonus biome, which is basically in all but words a lost world, a bonus world essentially. So we're aiming for difficulty around here, you know, around like Lost World difficulty. Challenging levels that are like a little bit beyond what you saw in previous worlds, perhaps. You know, the most challenging, the most like involved, and maybe like the most like intimidating. Maybe intimidation is the right word, because I don't know that these will really get like super hard or nothing. Like, I'm not aiming to be like masochistic whatever in the level, but I do want it to be like, I do want you to be like a little bit frightened, you know, a little bit like, oh geez, this is hectic, this is you know, I want it to be like a step above what you see typically in a traditional level, but not like literally translating to a 2% clear rate or nothing. Just, you know, it should make you feel like you've done something. Like, oh god, I just got through this whole thing. And I'll say, like, one of the things that this level does, which I'm looking at for my level, is that in the second half, it becomes a platform level. You know, you might have noticed that the first half was not a platform level, and then the second half becomes one. Which, in retrospect, is kind of an interesting thing, because it's the only platform level that's a real, like, full-on platform level in DKC2, and yet they spend half of it not platform leveling. And that's basically how it will be in my level, too. This would make the only platform level in the super world, but I think that I think that half a level is actually enough. And that's enough platform leveling to really just get the taste of it, the flavor of it. And to make, like, the impression you need of, like, a little bit of novelty in the level without really just giving up the whole level, without giving over the whole level to a linear, you know, auto-scrolly platform ride, you know? Half is fine, and you can do something else with the other half that is still equally cool, you know. Those are the inspirations that I'm looking at. The 2 levels in particular. There's also a bunch of other levels in, like, DKC 1 especially that are platform levels, but those 2 in particular are the ones I'm looking at. Also, you know what? Let me one more. And I'm not going to change the game again. There's one more actually that in DKC 1 that kind of like was the original motivation to do like the springy platform, and which sort of, you know, eventually involved like other springy platforms in the overworld as well. The one level that I played that gave me the idea was this one here. We're just gonna walk to it. I don't know where. Okay, well, I know where we are. I know where it is. I'm just saying I don't know like where we would start from when I hit the file. It's this one, Rope Bridge Rumble, I believe. Right here. Rope Bridge Rumble is a level with moving platforms that have tires on them, and you know they kind of work the same way as springs. It's not really a full platform level. There's only like a few sections that are like approaching platform level status towards the end, but it has a lot of the stuff that we're kind of looking to get in our own level, in my own level, in Sunburn Sanctuary. In particular, during some of these sections, you'll be jumping on a moving platform like this and maybe going over some enemies that are stationary, or you know, maybe you'll jump on them or something. Like you could easily see that as just being like a bunch of boos or something, like in the one example that we have in like the test level. So like a couple of boos. Also, you know what? It does do kind of a similar thing to the level we were playing with, which is to say, like, just have, like, bouncy stuff at various different heights, and just have the player, like, have to fall from a high one to a low one and vice versa. And you know, maybe that's interesting enough on its own as, like, part of the level. I think that's a thing to note as well. You know, not every part of a level, not every inch of a level needs to be popping. You know, sometimes it's just good to have a little part where you run and jump and bounce off a thing, and it just serves as a nice little breather. You know, a nice little relief to the rest of the level where it's bombarding you with enemies and challenges and stuff. You know, not every second, not every inch, not every foot of real estate needs to be full of guys. You know, we'll just like pop into like one of the actual platform levels. Because, like, yeah, this game has lots of them. Like, this one here, Tanked Up Treble. Levels like this are sort of what I was first looking at for this level. You know, where it's just like a moving platform, and you have to do things to keep the moving platform moving. You know, something like this would have been very simple to do in Mario Maker. But I decided to go with the, because of the way that the sun works, right? I have to keep it at one single elevation, so it made more sense to do it as a lava raft, and that meant that this sort of setup doesn't really fly quite so much as a result. You know, but, you know, this is basically the most, what's the word? What's the word for, like, basal? Basal? This is the most basal... Is that the word basal for like when an organism is like the most closest to its ancestors? Basal? Let me check. Basal biology. Yeah, that's it's a term for in biology for primitive or ancestral. It's called basal because it's neutral and non-judgmental. Right, rather than saying like, oh, this is the ancient form of a platform level. I would say that this is the basal form, you know, the like most basic, the most like the starting point that you would look at, right? A moving platform, enemies come, you're presented with enemies and platforms you really can't stay on if you want to live, and also things you must do off the platform to get you off of it briefly in order to do some platforming, and then ultimately you end up back on it. And also, hey, this level, it does involve, like, putting a tire on the platform, which makes it into a bouncy platform, similar to the one we actually are building in the level. I guess, you know, I guess also this level had some influence on the ideas that went into Sunburn Sanctuary. It is, like, very much, like, the most, I would say the most, yeah, the most basal of these stages. Also, you got a little bit of tension here from, like, the ticking of the fuel. Obviously, we can't really do anything like quite like that in Mario Maker, but it's a good mechanic. Not really like, I guess the other platform level is in like Misty Mine is not one, Manic Mistress is not one. I thought there were more, like more out and out platform levels where you're just riding a platform. There's one in like the factory world, isn't there? Yeah, there is. Let's see. What level is that? It's Trick Track Trek. Okay, yeah, I guess maybe Trick Track Trek is like the original. In this one, you're just riding a platform. There's no mechanics. This one's the most basal, though the other one is like, you know, it's like the first phylogeny. I don't know. I watch a lot of biology videos, but I don't know the terms all that well. Like, you know, don't ask me to put the kingdom, order, species, whatever, all in order. I don't know, like, how high... This is, like the first, like, the branch... This branches out from the... like, the... Trick Track Trek. Wait, what's the other one called? The other one is, like, the first... It branches directly out from this one. Whereas, like, all other sorts of platform levels are, you know, a little more distantly related. You know... I guess these would be like our bullet bills coming at us. Like those neckies would be. Where like, oh, you know, you can, yeah, deal with them. They're coming at you. What do you do? And you can either go through them. You can, that's a bit annoying. You know, it's a, what are you gonna do? You can go through them, or you can, kill them. This also shows, like, oh yeah, you know, you can drop enemies from above. That does require, like, a little bit of fine-tuning, right? Like, in Mario Maker, we don't really have any choice to, like, spawn enemies at particular times in order to make them board the platform, and when it's in just the right spot. You know, this would be very, very difficult to do, because it's not like, oh, you hit a trigger, and then they start moving as soon as that happens. You sort of have to do things like we did with the blue platforms and just have them be coming in our direction and have enough wiggle room such that they will land, they will be boarding the platform. I guess also, you know, this shows, and I believe it's true in our case as well, you can put platforms that are, like, above where you can get to, and that's a good place for the enemies to fall down from. Anyway. That's enough looking at some inspiration, some levels that would inspire this one. Let's now pull back up this game and maybe like do like one final pass, try to come up with a few more ideas. Considering we just spent a bunch of time looking at DKC and going over like how it designed its levels. You know, I feel like I said all sorts of valuable insights, but also I also feel like maybe they've already left my head, which isn't exactly good, is it? Jumping on things from various heights. That's a way you can make like these platforms, even if they're at the same height, interesting. Just making it so that the things you have to dismount to are at different heights. So we can mess around with that a little bit. We can do it in the area with the moving platform. Okay, here's what I want to do. Get rid of one of these. This here. Copy another one. Put it like up here. Various heights. Let's see how this feels. Have it so that, you know, sometimes you're dealing with guys that are high up, sometimes you're dealing with guys that are lower to the ground. And I'm sure, like, we'll put some coins here that'll give the player, like, some sort of indication. Like, oh god. So, like, whereabouts they should, I'm gonna, like, delay this by just a tad. So that basically you'll be like a little bit delayed. And hopefully that'll end up with the sun's timing being a little more intuitive. Actually, the third platform kind of helped. Okay, try this again. Another thing you can do is have more stuff where you're jumping from a higher height to a lower height. Try to make that interesting. Okay, this is to move this over a bit. Move this over a bit as well. The sun part might get in the way now. And again, this is still mostly a bullshit version of this level, you know. By no means would this be like the final setup. Also, if these platforms were right here, you can just go above them and avoid the sun altogether. That's not great. Have it on a lower ground like that. And move this over like... We don't want this to be in there while the sun is passing. We want it to happen after the sun passes. How about one of them is low? And one of them is delayed significantly. I kind of liked it better high. So maybe there could be a low one to like jump off of, and that'll like change up the timing a little bit on the sun, make it feel a little more intuitive. This one is too far to the side. Bring them back together.
Let's go.
Also, I don't really want to make it so that you can, like, get over the top like that. Oh, that's... It'd have to be, like, more like this. Where you're, like, coming down on the way down. No. Okay, what happened if you just, like, jump full? Like, right off the thing. I didn't jump full again. One more try here. And we'll find something else to look at. I feel like some of the observations I made, like, oh, you know, seeing how it sets up its mechanics, right? Some of the levels, that felt pretty intuitive. Some of the levels, how they set up their mechanics, right? Get rid of that one. But do put, like... Try putting one, like, there. Let's see how that feels. Seeing how the other levels, how they set up their mechanics, will help us to make up, like, our way that our mechanics are set up here. You know, when I do, like, the actual version of this level, how I'm going to lay into each mechanic individually and set things up, one at a time, you know. That's gonna be neat. Let's think. Is there something we can do right now that one of the other levels did? Well, we could just, you know what, we talked about it, booze. Jumping over booze while they're coming at you is just a very obvious thing we can put in here. In fact, we could have one as early as, like, right here. And we could have another one, like, The one thing I'm worried about with all these stacks is that we might be using up our enemy real estate or enemy bandwidth really fast. You know, especially with, like, these motherfuckers that take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 each. Like, that is a huge concern, but for now, let's just go ahead and build the level that we want to make. And hey, maybe since we're not using, like, half the screen, you know, this is actually more conservative than we would think. So you could put, like, one here, put one there, and could there be something in the air for us to stab? Like, other than bullet bills? Other than bonsai bills? Also, is there, like, a really low limit of bonsai bills? If there is, it's not that low. Now, the limit is not that bad. I think we'll have enough bonsai bills we'll have more than enough bonsai bills for us to work with. Okay, let's try this on 4 sides. Oh, that's... Wait, can you not, like... Okay, I'm gonna do it where it's like this. Released right here, right? Oh yeah, that's really tight. These guys are way, way too high up. You don't have enough clearance here. Also, this guy is too far forward. He spawns way too soon. You're not done dealing with the ghost by the time he spawns. Okay. Also, I should try out this one as well. Now, I'll say, like, I am putting in some time to try to make this feel, like, as good as it possibly can. And I do think it feels good. This isn't to say that it's definitely the final layout or anything. You know, anything could happen. I could take, like, a whole new approach here. Yeah, that's way too high. In fact, because the platforms don't reach over all the way over, they can literally just be like that high. The platform's not going to run into them or anything. Could even be like a pack of smaller boos or something. Oh, this will be good. Okay, you know what? I have to try it. And to try it, I have to get there. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's really easy to deal with. It's not a big deal at all. Quite pleasant, even. I really like that part there where you, like, go over some pokies. I don't know that pokies have, like, a big place in the level. I guess, actually, you know what? A lot of these places where we're using boos would be just as easy to, like, put a pokey on a rail. In fact, let me just fucking try that. That's probably, like, way more, resource efficient than, doing it the way that we're doing it now. In fact, they can be, like, rails going up like this, and it'll be like, you know, they'll be of, like, different heights at different times. It actually sounds pretty neat. Okay. Oh yeah, I have to start it up. And also, you could kill those guys if you wanted, which would be cool. Yeah, I think I like that. I think that's a better thing than the ghost. In fact, earlier on when we had the ghost, we could easily just have the pokies instead. I guess that would involve, like, maybe... Is it weird to have, like, flying pokies and also pokies that are like, just walking? Maybe if they had wings, it would, like, look okay. Maybe if they were winged pokies, it would, like, look better. That would also maybe give them way too much height, actually. Like, that's gonna be, like, ridiculous. Like, let's just see how that looks, like, how far those pokies go. Yikes! Like, I don't even know how far up they go, but it's definitely, like, hard to... It's kind of neat. I don't know if I like it. Yeah, I don't know if I like it more than boos, actually. But also, you know, it is just so much more efficient space-wise. Maybe will be a good pick. Alright, I think that's enough for this. I think we've made enough progress. I think we've found some good ideas. We've drawn from some inspirations, and we've started building out some sections that are, like, approaching, like, actual, honest-to-God, like, segments that might end up in the final level. Like, that bullet bill section might be, like, most of the way there. You know, we might not even need to, like, change that in a big way. I'm gonna do one last run through the level. One last run through the level as is, and then we're gonna call it. And I will also say one thing that I totally have not, I did not say this whole stream, but I was, like, I did put in, like, the description for the stream, which is that, I have been thinking about maybe changing the name. You know, I've gone with Sunburn Sanctuary all this time, but I was thinking maybe, maybe Sunburn Sanctum sounds better. Sunburn Sanctum. What do you think? I don't know. I could go either way. I'm just gonna respawn from here. I suppose also with the spike hat, you can also hit these guys from below. You know, with the spike hat, which is cool. Good to have multiple uses for things. Yeesh. Alright, we got to this part. I definitely like falling down onto the pokies. And it's kind of fun in this case to, like, stab a pokey. There we go. There's the end of what's built out. Seems pretty good. I'm feeling like it's starting to come together. It's not to the point where I have anything permanent yet. That will take, like, me at some point in the future being like, okay, it's time to, like, delete everything. It's time to save off a bullshit version of this level. You know, yeah. If I show you, like, my my course bot, you can see that below, well below the real versions, there's a bunch of, like, BS versions of various levels that are exactly that. Prototype versions of levels that I ended up, you know, restarting, you know, just to get, like, a fresh, real version of it. Jeez, look at that. What's up with, like, the... Oh, yeah, right, so that's the volcano level. Okay. Some of these are, like, not even the same theme that they ended up with, like 7-4. Ended up changing entirely to being actually underwater. It's interesting to look back at, like, all the stuff that went into them, I think. But, that's not important right now. Let's go ahead and, you know, and, end off here. Whatever. This has been a little making stream. It's been a while since the last one of these. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I'm gonna pull up the schedule. I'm gonna be back on Thursday at a later time than normal, 11 p.m. Central, and that will be specifically because we're gonna be doing Tears of the Kingdom, which unlocks at 11 p.m. Central, roundabout. So we'll be starting, like, right before that, you know, so I can, like, talk about stuff and stuff before before, like, mashing on the button, seeing, like, okay, can we play it? Can we play that? That's, like, literally 2 days away, huh? That's exciting. I really can't wait for that. I'm gonna let y'all go. Y'all have a good one. See ya on Thursday, and viewer levels will be on Friday after that. And then next Monday there will be another Pikmin stream, which is gonna be one of the last. We're probably gonna finish Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 3 at least next Pikmin stream, so that'll be fun. And then after that stream next week, like in about a week actually, will be the birthday stream, which will be a whole big all-day stream with a lot of stuff to it. Let me see who is streaming right now. Alter Mentality is streaming again. She was a fun raid yesterday. That was fun to hang out with her and her folks, but let's do something different. Andy Havoc is celebrating 1 full year streaming. Rudy V is doing Smash Brothers. Let's see, what's something different? M-Chan is doing a thing. Is doing, looks like, any percent, 100%. Wait, there's tags for any percent and 100% in there. Of, looks like Link to the Past. Let's go with, you know what, I'm gonna go with Intention Zero. I don't know what exactly he's doing. Looks like, Elder Scrolls? That sounds fine to me. I'm gonna send y'all over there. I'm gonna pull it up on my own phone so I can watch along. And I will see y'all on Thursday for Tears of the Kingdom. I keep saying Breath of the Wild. I feel like I've said Breath of the Wild a bunch of times referring to this new game. Tears of the Kingdom. That's gonna be real fucking good. See you then. Thursday, 11 p.m. Central, different time. Bye, folks!